So I'm inspired by this current season of Game of Thrones to throw things together last minute. So I'm going to talk about this Kevon Durant injury thing. He's going to miss the rest of this Rocket series. To make an obvious statement, it's going to be harder for the Warriors to score without Kevon Durant. So, what do we think of all this? Do the Warriors have a chance to beat Houston? Yeah, I think they do. I mean, still a pretty talented roster. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Iguodala has been awake. Shout out to the Iguodala fan club. We're always lurking, even if we're asleep for most of the year, similar to Andre himself. So you hope that the Rockets are not just going to roll over these guys. I mean, maybe you do hope that, because quite a lot of people would like to see the Warriors lose. So I don't know what I'm saying. But we're going to talk about this anyway. Defensively, the Warriors are going to have to show up. Harden can't just do whatever he wants here, which means Draymond might have to turn back the clock a little bit. If it's possible for him to be the Draymond of a few years ago who just flew around the floor like a possessed demon playing defense, then I think he's got to do it for these last two games just to make the Warriors' job a little bit easier without Kevon Durant. Now, if we talk about who's going to start in place of KD, there are some choices. There's Andrew Bogut. He'll give him size and fundamentals, but he hasn't played much at all this series, so maybe that doesn't happen. We have Kevon Looney, who has been their one big who is getting consistent playing time. Not that I think Looney is actually that good, but he can be a body who hopefully just doesn't kill you. You have to think the Rockets would focus on him and make him play defense, but I mean, yeah, the guy can look kind of goofy and unathletic, but he's managed to maintain a roster and rotation spot with these guys for years, so he's not a disaster. There's Jonas Jerebko, who might be the best option offensively. He would certainly space the floor out for them and would give them the closest thing to a 5-out thing, I guess. Then again, maybe that's Alfonso McKinney, who would be the only other real wing if they wanted to maintain the normalcy of the team, I guess, in terms of not replacing an injured wing with a big or whatever. Then I guess McKinney could be the best option. He's probably the most athletic of all their potential choices. Then there's Shaun Livingston, who I think a couple years ago would have been a easier pick to put into the starting lineup here, but he's just not the same guy. Doesn't have the burst, the verticality. Sure, the mid-range jumpers can still drop, and I give him credit for still being able to dunk. I mean, if him and Steph Curry get into a dunk contest, I don't know who's winning that thing. But I don't know if he can just handle those many minutes, you know? Now we're going to finally talk about the other stars of this team. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, they have to be really good. Klay finally woke up in the last one, but spent a decent amount of this series not looking too hot, and Steph has missed some open jumpers and things like that. I think what'll be interesting with the Warriors' offense now without KD is, do they just go all out on what their offense used to be, which is just constant off-ball movement, even more than they've shown lately, or are they going to simplify it a little bit to make sure that Steph and Klay get their shots? Are we going to see some of KD's typical post-ups go to Klay? That could be interesting. Now, there are other guys on offense. There's Draymond Green and Andre Iguodala, who I love. So the Rockets were already going to leave these guys open, and now maybe they're going to leave them even more open. Maybe they won't have to. I don't really know. But they're going to have to make shots. The Rockets are going to dare them to take open jumpers, and I mean, I'm not super confident that they're going to be able to kill Houston for doing that. It's kind of a game-by-game basis with these two. I mean, depending on the day of the week, Iguodala can look like a knockdown shooter, or he can look like a dude who just kind of sucks from out there, I guess. And of course, Draymond always looks like he's shooting with a backpack on, which was the greatest joke I ever saw on Twitter. Next to Klay Thompson dribbles like a Republican. So all that applies. The Warriors' work is definitely cut out for them a little bit. I think they can still win this thing. I mean, I think they would be great if they didn't have Kevon Durant, but they still got to make it happen. So they've got some decisions to make. Who's going to start? Should they prioritize a big or a wing or a shooter or whatever? Are Steph and Klay going to be great? I kind of think they will be, but there's still questions of if the guys around them can make shots and things like that. So yeah, Houston's really good, man. They got themselves a break. Also, one more time, this Game of Thrones season is a disaster. Like, this should have been the greatest show ever, and they've ruined damn near the entire thing in 2 episodes. It's honestly kind of impressive.